Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the virtual Cobalt Cafe. It is the 254th week of our virtual series. Glad to have you all here with us. My name is Rick Lupert. I'm the host of the event. It's an open reading, and tonight we welcome featured reader Preeti Vangani. I think that was close. That was pretty close to how it should be pronounced. I'm going to work on it over the next several months. And then message you directly when I fully get it right. So we're going to do a little bit of our open reading, and then we're going to have Preeti read for us. Preeti. I'm trying to get the TH sound subtly in there, and it's not happening the way I want to. I'm going to keep working on it. So a little bit of our open reading, then our featured reader. And if you would like to read and you haven't already done so, please send me a message in the chat, and I will be delighted to add you to the list. As always, it is a 2-poem maximum here at Virtual Cobalts, and the suggested time limit is less is more. So there you go. That's everything you need to know about that. You should have the chat room open. The chat room is available for you to interact with each other since everyone is muted throughout the event. Send each other messages, post things that you think people should click on if you'd like. Someone asked, Martin asked actually, if private messages has been disabled. I think Zoom has been updated, and so now what I'm seeing anyway is I'm seeing tabs if you message someone. There's a main chat tab, and if someone else messages me, another tab appears on top, and I can click on that and see the full scope of those chats. I haven't fully experimented with it, but you can still send each other secret and private messages as desired, just slightly differently than you did prior to that. I'm sure that's fascinating to all the people watching on Facebook or YouTube who are pining to send each other private messages. But there you go. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, we do have a 1-drink minimum here at the Cobalt Cafe. Make sure that you have a beverage with you of some kind to help, just to help. You know what I'm saying? Everyone needs a beverage of some kind just to help. I think that's it. Before we get to our first reader, I would like to ask if there are any questions. Richard Loringer, quick with the hand.
I'm going to be bad because I don't have a question, but about the messaging. I don't know if this is the way it is on your screen, but on mine, up at the very top of chat, there's a blue square now. It says new chat. And if you click on that, you can choose any number of people you want to send a message to privately. And then the main chat has its own little tab. But I couldn't figure that out for the life of me, and I just did. So if you're looking for it and you don't see it, the little blue square at the top says new chat, and you can choose who to chat with.
Yeah, that was the tabs I was referring to. Since that was super helpful, I'm not going to dock you for making a statement during the question and answer period. You know how I feel about that. But that was helpful, so we're just going to let that slide, Richard. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I just couldn't put it in question form. Thanks.
For the sake of, I think if you just intonate things up, like everything the Scottish say is kind of like a question, even when it's a step. So think of it that way. That's a way that you could kind of get around that particular guideline.
I'll try that. Bye.
Something to think about. All right, thank you, Richard. It looks like Martin Parker has a question. Hello, Martin.
Hello, Rick. Oh, thank you for all the updates. And I think because of my phone, it's a little different, but I'll figure it out here eventually. My question for you today, though, is have you ever made a paper origami crane?
I don't think I have, but I've been present when they've been being made. My wife is a big origami fan and has made paper cranes while I've been there. And of course is kind of obnoxious to say in front of the rest of this sentence, but I've been to Hiroshima, which has a long tradition of paper cranes. The whole idea being if you fold 1,000 cranes, you can cure someone's ailment. And there's a big presence of that topic in that place. All right. Well, Martin, thank you for the question. Good one. Cathabella, yes.
Rick, what kind of a bouquet would you like?
I like bouquets of watermelon. I really like watermelon. So if you could put that on those little wooden sticks and make it look like an arrangement, possibly with blueberries for a color alternative, and strawberries, of course. They don't need to be chocolate covered. Chocolate covered is, thank you, Chris. That's very helpful. Chocolate covered is a great concept, but kind of unnecessary where strawberries are concerned, I think. But indulgent and fun.
Interesting answer, Rick.
Well, that's what I strive for, Cathabella. All right, cool. Good set of questions, everyone. We're going to get to the open reading now. As I mentioned earlier, our first up will be Martin Parker. So we'll say on deck is Julian Matthews. Please welcome our first reader, Martin Parker. Hello, Martin.
Hello again, Rick, and good to see everybody here tonight. Got a couple short poems here from recent prompts. This first one was a prompt for writing a persona poem from the viewpoint of spring. So I'm calling this Spring Grumblings. You're not the only one out of breath as I'm reborn from my seasonal death. I struggle to fight back the wintry blast the negligent jet stream is letting slip past. I'm sorry your systems are misaligned and react to the pollens that are a sign of my intention to renew the earth and spread fertility, allowing new birth. I rumble the sky to release the rain that nourishes the ground that crackles in pain. In fits, my powers ebb and flow as changes affect me more than you know. Okay. My file wants to ask me to rate it while I'm trying to get to the next poem here, so I'm not sure it's going to get a good rating. Okay, and the second one, thank you, Rick, for actually giving a preview. This is a poem prompt about a memory. This is called Hiroshima. I stood before the cenotaph, shadowed by the Gembaku dome. Cranes lay silent, rainbow hues, a prism for grief, for people whose home was cleansed of life. Sudden blast lit the sky, an August day, and here I pray, like others do, that never again will we see this display. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Martin. Nice way for us to start our reading today. Really appreciate you being brave and taking the first slot. Not that you had a choice.
Thank you.
What is that on your shirt? Walk to end what?
Oh, Walk to End Hydrocephalus. I think I've worn it here a time or two before and read a poem about my partner's condition with spina bifida, which includes hydrocephalus. So we're go to the walk every once in a while to try to help raise money for a cure, so that she doesn't. Other people don't have to have a shunt in her brain like she does.
That's great. Nice that you do that, and thanks for keeping awareness of it literally on your chest for all to see. Well done. Martin,
thank you for bringing it up and reminding people. Thank you.
No problem. Round of applause for Martin Parker. Thank you, Martin. On deck is the collab, Jackie, Chris, Siggy, and Katha Bella. Please welcome now Julian Matthews. Hello, Julian.
Hi. Something silly and something serious. May I share screen, please, Rick? Breakup poem. It's the big, beautiful fallout of Elon and Don. Two billionaire cons who once got giddily along. Can't be too glib when the first rat leaves the ship. Even Titanic caps never knew their vessels would flip. But this train wreck, was easy to predict. Yawn. I'd rather watch a throwdown on the White House lawn. The second one is called My Mother's Sari. My mother passed 8 years ago, June 9th. So she used to have all these wonderful saris. My mother's sari. Some nights my mother's sari enters quietly unannounced, swirls and curls like incense. She spins me around, fit checks my form, spits, stamps down cowlick, makes it stick. My mother's sari goes about her business, inspects room by room, scoffs at unpicked socks, unmade bed, unwashed laundry, and unread books. She runs fingers on surfaces, tut-tuts the dust, groans at clouded windows and dish-piled sink. My mother's sari blindfolds my ego, masks my fears, holds my tongue, enters my right ear, and comes out clean the other side. She pulls at my nose, massages my shoulders, dissolves my pain, rubs Vicks on my chest, rocks me gently and long, cradles me like a baby in a sorrow. My mother's sari reminds me of broom and cane, to look left, look right, and look left again, of crossings and crosses, failures and faith, self-belief and leaps of faith. She churns my heartache, spots the real yearnings from the fake, cackles at my longings and resigned faith. My mother's sari gets dramatic, makes like the weather, wind and rain, sweat and swelter, whispers to me of seeking sun, shade and shelter. She rattles on, rinse and repeat, watch and learn, be grateful, forgive but never forget, do or don't do. And which part of no did you not get? My mother's sari is the tie that forever binds. I can't tell silk from spin until she unfurls in. She is grief that enters, checks in, then checks out. She incepts and interrupts, wraps like a wreath, bundles like a blanket, cuddles and coils, then stabs like a foil. My mother's sari leans close, blows a mote in my eye, makes me blink, then winks. She exits as she came, treading lightly. I beg her to stay, but she just sashes away. Thank you.
Julian, thank you. That was a gorgeous poem for your mother. Loved seeing the image of her as well at the beginning of it. Really nice work there. Thank you so much for sharing that. And also enjoyed the poem at the beginning, imagining a throwdown on the White House lawn. Something to keep us entertained while it all goes to hell. Julian, thank you so much for being here. A round of applause for Julian Matthews. On deck, Christopher Bogart. Please welcome the collab, Jackie, Siggy, Chris, and Cathabella. Hello to all of you.
Hello.
Hello, hello.
Hi, and Rick is here too with his dragon shirt. Okay, I'm going to share screen. We did this poem yesterday, and it's called The Whole Bouquet. A cluster of jacaranda plucked on my walk up the aisle. My pre-made bouquet.
Grinning like a rabbit at Dad's second wedding, mischievous brother takes a huge bite of stepmom's bouquet.
For the prom, she wears a wrist bouquet of dainty roses and pins her corsage. on her date's rented suit.
Trampled roadside daisies, this longing of wild flowers to be in bouquets.
It's a beautiful thought. I learned from the roses in gardens in the city of hope. Don't wait. Don't wait. Just cluster on bushes. Make your own bouquet.
A rose in a bouquet of snapdragons. I take pride in my cliches.
Doesn't want to put the accent in. I play dancing gypsy. The rose in my hair becomes a whole flowery hat that takes over my head.
A bow in my hair, like Rosemary on TV. Mine green velvet. The movie stars with waves free flowing over an eye.
For my totem, a snail or a turtle moving leisurely here, there, and everywhere. Refuge always with me.
That's beautiful, Chris. I love that. My dream totem, polar bear races the glaciers. I rush to keep up like a white cloud in the wind with too many ideas.
Fireflies on a sticker glowing, the light of the child within.
On my way home from elementary school, just 2 blocks, I picked roadside dandelions, daisies, or wild roses for Mom.
Top of the waterfall. Top of the waterfall, a little girl with dandelions, picked from my dream. I meet myself in person.
Fewer bouquets from admirers as I age. Life cheats those who are fair.
Told my dad, be home by 9 p.m. That's not fair, he told me each time. No one said life was fair.
A whole bouquet of violets just for my lunch. Mother said at the fair, you should grow them yourself. And that's it.
That was great.
Thank you, everybody. That was so much fun. And here's Rick with what do you have here?
This is a replica of a Native American flute that was made in northeast Arizona sometime between 620 and 670 AD.
Wow.
Native American flute.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you all very much for that collab. I think all of us got very excited when we saw the line, I take pride in my cliches. That was a great moment in this piece. Well done. Thank you all. Thank you, Cathabella, Chris, Jackie, and Rick. Well done.
Thank you, everybody.
All right, 2 more poets, and then we will get to our featured reader, Preeti Vangani. On deck is Carl Stillwell. Please welcome now Christopher Bogart. Hello, Christopher.
Hi, Rick. How are you doing? I'm going to read 2 poems, and because of what's happening in Los Angeles, I thought I would kind of try to address that in 2 very different ways. The first one is the title poem for the book Silence is Consent. I know I've read it here before, but maybe it needs repeating. Can I show the screen? Yeah, I can. Okay. The price of silence. Silence is sometimes defined as the absence of sound, but silence is really the absence of action. Silence, however, is always profound. It punctuates, communicates, sometimes in pages, most often in volumes. Silence counts its victims not in hundreds or thousands, but in hundreds of thousands, in millions. Silence has forever been complicit in the silencing of the voices of millions of souls in Uganda, in Rwanda, Cambodia, Armenia, in Auschwitz, in Dachau, in Bergen-Belsen, and in Babi Yar. Silence is cowardice. Its lips sealed, as our most basic freedoms are held hostage to the absence of protest, the absence of action, the absence of sound. Silence is all of these. But, excuse me, but most of all, for all of these, silence is consent. And the other poem, and I'm going to show you two pictures. This first one, I'm hoping you can see this, is a picture of a young man, 25 years old, and his, I think it was a 20-month daughter. And the second picture is this one. Can you see that? Okay. And this poem is called Breakpoint. Sebastian Junger in Perfect Storm wrote, "The instinct not to breathe underwater is so strong that it overcomes the agony of running out of air. At that point, there is so much carbon dioxide in the blood and so little oxygen that chemical sensors in the brain trigger an involuntary breath, whether he's underwater or not. That's called the break point." And that's why I named this poem The Break Point. I have parts of Sebastian Junger's book, every few things, but I'll tell you, this is Sebastian Junger. The break point comes after 87 seconds. And this is me. Less than a minute after Oscar put Angie ashore, the 2-year-old panicked, jumped into the water to follow her poppy back home. As the sound of the splash, her father looked back, saw her flailing around in the water. Sebastian Junger. It comes when the instinct to breathe overcomes the agony of asphyxia. Me. He watched helplessly as the current swallowed her up. Frantic, he doubled back, strong arms cutting through currents until he reached where she disappeared. Younger. No matter how desperate, you never inhale. Me. He dove straight down into the raging eddies of the turbulent Rio Grande. Younger. Until you're at the very edge of consciousness. Me. His arms reached ahead through brown, muddy water in search of his little girl. Younger. The only thing worse than running out of air is breathing in water. Me. His fingers found her body and slipped her to safety beneath his wet t-shirt. This is Younger. When the first breath occurs, most people are conscious. Me. Her heart fluttered faintly against his smooth chest, then ceased. Her arms went still. Younger. The spasms of breathing dragged water into your mouth. Me. As oxygen in the bloodstream reached the breaking point, Oscar swam frantically upward in desperate attempt to get them both to the surface. Younger. At this point, the drowning begins in earnest. Me. Her lifeless body like a cold baby doll pressed up against his bare flesh. Younger. A lack of oxygen causes sensations of darkness closing around from all sides. Me. As the darkness rushed in to replace dying light, Oscar was forced to face final truth. He had run out of time. Younger. Water floods the lungs, ending all hope of getting back to the surface. Me. The following morning, 2 bodies were found at the edge of the brown riverbed, surrounded by bottles and empty beer cans. Little Angie was still tucked in her father's black t-shirt, her right arm flung across his cold, wet neck, their bodies locked in deadly embrace. Younger, 87 seconds. Me, the price of dreams. Thank you.
Christopher, thank you. Powerful and in many ways terrible piece that you brought to us tonight. Thank you for sharing that. And as always, the social conscious you bring to the work that you do. And just a public thanks. I got your books just today in the mail that you sent. So thank you so much for those. And I'm looking forward to getting into them, etc., as it were. Round of applause for Christopher Bogart. On deck is our featured reader, Preeti Vangani. Please welcome now Carl Stillwell. Hello, Carl.
Hi, Rick. Very moving poem. I think that poem was very fitting for Father's Day. And my poem is also about my stepdad, called Second Chance. In the second year of Franklin Roosevelt's presidency, I was born in Oklahoma City, the second born to Lawrence and Wilma Stillwell. My older sister, Dolores, was born 4 years before me at the beginning of the Great Depression. My younger brother, David, was born 2 years after me. My mother was one of 7 children born to my grandma, Dottie Osborne, who had been abandoned by her husband, Paul, to raise him on whatever money she could make, washing clothes and cooking at powwows. Shortly after Mom met Lawrence, Grandma strongly hinted that if my mother married him, they'd have one less hungry mouth to feed in their family. And so during her sophomore year, Mom dropped out of high school to get married. My earliest memories were our family living in the home of Dad's brother, Roy, and his wife, Minnie. Mom worked as a seamstress. Dad was a truck driver. I was clueless as to why my family was living in someone else's home when both parents were working and Dad owned a car. Shortly after Pearl Harbor was bombed, my cousin Leroy Stillwell was killed on the cruiser during the Battle of Midway. And then while playing in Uncle Roy's backyard, my stomach began to hurt real bad. Dad drove me and Mom to the hospital. They said I had appendicitis. When I woke up from surgery, Dad was gone, and Mom was sitting by my bed while reading to me from The Wizard of Oz. I didn't see Dad again until I was 15 when he picked up David and me to go to our grandfather Stillwell's funeral. His full name was Charles Brady Stillwell, but everybody called him Happy. His middle name was also mine, as well as being the first name of David's son. In 1943, Mom married James Dalton, a sailor from Dallas, who was stationed in the Norman Naval Base. The first thing Dad did as our stepdad, and Jimmy did as our stepdad, was to take David and me by trolley to a ballpark to watch the Oklahoma City Indians play a Texas League baseball game. When Mom was off work, our whole family would travel by trolley to the Oklahoma City Zoo. When the circus came our way, we walked a few blocks to the Municipal Auditorium to watch it. A few years after the end of World War II, Jimmy used his GI Bill to finance the purchase of a new home in Midwest City, a few miles east of Oklahoma City. Oh, brave new world of neatly trimmed, lush green lawns with latest model cars in every garage. I was embarrassed our old car was the only one on the block made before the war, but hey, we were still middle class. Mom and Jimmy were called Mo and Po by their grand and great grandkids. Soon after Mom died, Jimmy drove alone in his pickup from Oklahoma to South Pasadena to visit my family. I took him with grandsons Luke and Mark to watch a Los Angeles Dodgers baseball game. I went with Jimmy also to San Diego where he won a $70 executive bat, which he used to treat my family to a dinner in a favorite South Pasadena restaurant. That's the kind of guy my stepfather was. Not one goddamn selfish bone in his body. My late great firstborn son, James Luke Stillwell, was named after him. Thank you.
All right, we got a Stillwell family history today, which and we are the luckier to know that much more about you, Carl. We're adding that to the official annals of Stillwell sacred text that we maintain on this end, and appreciate the deep dive. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Round of applause for Carl Stillwell, everyone. That leads us now, ladies and gentlemen, to our featured reader. I'll quickly mention that after our featured reader, Valerie Sofair, will be up first in the second part of the open reading. Preeti Vangani is a poet whose poem was sent to me via the Poem a Day email that I get from the Academy of American Poets. Was excited to read her poem and immediately reached out. Not immediately, it was on my list, and then in turn I reached out to see if she would be interested in being here at this reading, and lo and behold, the answer was yes. So really excited to meet you for the first time, as well as to be able to have the opportunity to see a full set of poems. Preeti is the author of a couple of books, one which is out now called Mother Tongue Apologizes. We're going to post a link to that in a little bit, and one which is coming out next year called 50 Mothers. So that's really cool to be like on the verge of having a new publication out. Her poems have been published in awesome places, including Prairie Schooner, Gulf Coast, the Margins, and other places, and of course on the Poem a Day series. She has an MFA from the University of San Francisco and teaches in the program, which answers my question, where it is are you reading from? I'm assuming the Bay Area. Preeti, I'm so happy that you're here with us, and thank you so much. Please welcome our featured reader, Preeti Vangani.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Rick. It feels so daunting and yet like such a joy to be a part of a series that's been running for 254 volumes. So thank you for inviting me. Great to see Richard in the grid, who I have met before, and lovely to meet all of y'all. Thank you so much for sliding me into your conversations. It felt really warm to be a part of these squares. I'm going to jump around because I heard a lot of poems, and I feel like I have some pieces that are in conversation with what was said today, and it would, break my poet heart if I didn't read them. So I'm going to read some newer poems, then return to my first book, and then maybe go back and end with a newer poem. Okay. A lot of my work, most of it, actually is rooted in writing into grief from losing my mother. I lost my mother when I was very young. My mother was 43 when she passed. I was 22. So there's a lot of elegy and narrative, and that's the only background. Love triangle. When my father tells me that my stepmother finds cinema seats tedious, 3 voices rumble inside of me. The first, a gnarly grandmother who with crocodile tears is praying, a woman is denying my dear son his easiest pleasure. The second is a wife who rolls her eyes. Can't he just take himself? And the third is the silence of the girl who emigrated to escape her father's hold, yet hurts that she wants to, but still will not, sit with her father in the darkness. Uh, my mother studied home science, home economics, I think it's called in this part of the world, in college. So this is a poem titled Home Science. Mummy is helping me assemble a scrapbook featuring 200 women scientists. Genius seems so damn achievable. I haven't yet aged into bullying her for dropping out of college that she was made to drop. With every degree I land, I will go on to widen my disdain for her simpleness. How she butchers the word penicillin, pastes on the fancy paper a headshot of Madame Curie. I will go on to learn that success for scientists and poets is an epiphany, and success for a pupil is perfection. Aren't I a perfect pupil? How I sicken at the glue lines bleeding from under her work. All right. Now I'll read a little bit from my book. This is the poem that opens the book. Unremember. One way of bringing you back is to observe your garlanded frame as art, dying, obsolete, unappreciated between origami and handmade candles. Another is to bring back the heat of imitation leather from hospital guest beds. Who knew waiting rooms were carriers of sweaty fevers, making it impossible to sieve dream from memory? What could I have said to raise you from the dead? What do volumes of elegies contain that I don't? Their own inabilities to say the unsaid to the one who will unsee, unhear, untouch, unmove, ununderstand, understand. I am trying to backpack through the geography of a future without you, my compass. And no one has written a Lonely Planet guide titled 100 Getaways Without Mother. Or let's produce a reality TV show for contestants to adventure through losses on a shoestring budget. Today, you are not allowed to take the deceased name. Today, you are not to remember the way she smiled when she said yours. You cannot hold faith as a torchlight over reality's head. You will be disqualified if you re enter the symmetry of this world with longing as your wild card. And for your last challenge, you must dump the vanishing remains into a glass exhibit and create an event of everything that is. Label it was. Admission. Within the sooty pages of a half read memoir, I find a picture of Papa and me, taken after we tumbled out of the death defying roller coaster ride. Hung lopsided, his smile, unsure if he lost something when we were suspended in glass capsules, his tooth filling a pill, his hat, or a little of his brains. I show him the picture. He laughs and brags from when I had hair, in a tenor with which a man remembers the day he started trusting his wife. He asks me why I don't smile with both dimples outside of photos, and I say it was just a phase. When I want to say, I just don't get amused as easily. As if in trade, he texts me a picture of water chestnuts from a grocery aisle, captioned, "You still like these?" And I cry because I'm certain that after he is gone, this question will follow me around the way memory chases everything that slips away between the gap in its teeth. It has taken me 9 years and 10 months to let him into my silences. Grief tucked within folds of monosyllables. Yes, no, hmm. I'm leaning on him in this picture, shaking a green soda can. A click, and we were both soaked in an overflow of sugar and laughter. Now he sleeps alone on her side of the bed. I tiptoe around the drapes, careful not to make the curtain rings chime. He calls me puja, meaning prayer, meaning my late mother's name, as he opens his eyes. I let the sun in, blind by blind. Wait until we adjust to the sudden light. Right. My mother's legacy. Holy ash in newspaper packets. A bob-cut wig of horsehair. Om Namo Sai Allah Malik, chanted 1188 times every morning, every evening. Emergency contact list in vanity box. Food is medicine, volume 8.1. 4 cotton kurtas. A glass Lakshmi, the goddess of wealth. 6 eggs, tomatoes, 1 kilo, dates, fresh, not dry. Half an aspirin. Charms bracelet. A tortoise, a moon, a broken hook. Headscarf with neon marijuana leaves. Depression on her side of the bed. Honeymoon journal converted to recipe book. Plastic Ganesh, god of good beginnings. A prayer / SOS bell. Prescription glasses from 1988 on the television set. Silver earring missing its pair. Shh, shh, shh. A handkerchief with white lilies, rusty blood. Red sauce cooking method on a paper napkin. Where winter meets spring. I'm not going anywhere. All right. All right, I'll read a poem that I wrote after Amiri Baraka and after Jamila Woods, because she also has a poem that has the same first line. And the phrase that, starts the poem off is the phrase Baraka uses: poems are useless unless they are. Poems are useless unless they are pepper spray, stinging cries for change, girls dancing fearless at night. I want poems my mother couldn't write in her book of recipes. I want them like golden brown onions, sizzling and done when they are fully translucent, free of color wishes, with no commas and semicolons holding them back, every line a hot skillet of female compromises, melting like butter and scotch. I want a poem for the man whose idea of heaven is an accidental brush with a woman's side boob. I want it to be the missing credit of 21 cents for every dollar in her salary slip. Blemishes my sisters conceal in skin lightening foundation. Secrets my aunts hide under telephone lines over noise of television soaps. Each her and her a particle of raw dust birthing storms. Every her a dust that cooks, creates, cradles, but never settles. All right. I'm going to do something nasty, which is nasty for me. Read some very, very new poems. They're literally like 2 or 3 weeks old, but it's a sequence of 5 poems, roughly a sonnet crown. And they're not titled, so I'll just read one after the other. All right. Thank you so much for listening and for all the love in the chat and on the boxes. There we go. Quarter life sequence. Always, never, not before parting, spotting my Oxfords at his door, I'd well with dread. Having to return to my father his anchorless anger and unknown to him loneliness, a swell to have me married. But leave ultimately I did, was made to. His bachelor rental, our unrest scramble, our sweat to tributaries on umber sheets because he asked, why would I be the boy you stop at? And I couldn't say, it could never be just who I loved, rather what love kept me from. Who I loved, rather what love kept me. One boy who indulged me in naming a future son before I'd known the function of ovaries. The first to show me my openings, my cosmos of slip birthed from his middle and pointer, Point being, I sealed my lips on kissing a thespian behind his back. Foregrounded by serviceable lust, loyalty, and trust are but fictional planets. Rocky mounds of imported Ferrero Rocher chocolates, he topped the cake he baked for my 16th, despite uncovering my mischief. Looked away when I blew. It was an airy black forest. Long before the Mongenie's Black Forest was in a heart-shaped tin, my mother baked me thumbs-up cakes. Do birthdays, the dulcet church bells of beginnings, gain or lose more meaning after a mother? Grieving a mother is an umbilical cord that desists severing. Swearing into God's ears, once all I wanted was for my mother to leave. Grab her purse, lock her cupboard, descend so I could seize the cordless, dial a boy, two boys. I wanted her never, not even now, inside the ball pit heart of my buffoonery, but with wifely guarantee that she was standing outside with a key. With wifely guarantee, my stepmother stood outside with a key. Likely at satsang, seduced by crunchy gossip, gospel, pocketing a spiritual phrase that would phase the fatigue in her chest for days to come, as she would overpour our fridge with fruit, cheese, sauces, airtight jars with destoned lentils, flirting with whole grains to mill a hybrid flour most compatible with her husband, my father's accreting sugar levels. Perhaps after she lingered for filter coffee with a girlfriend, missed the train, indulged the wait with a packet of chana chor garam, toe grip loosening in chappals, lime and chili coating her buds, and in the offing, a slap, him claiming she kept a lover. Her tongue, her offing, his slap, claims a lover in Bombay. I traded all of these gods for woolens, renter's insurance, sourdough, oysters, my new currency, or was it CBD, LSD, Molly in Joshua Tree? Chanterelles in measured butter, unlike the butter as a child I licked by the paw print from a steel dish my mother stored above the fridge beyond my thieving reach. Is this heaven? I wondered. Domestic transgressions? Hiking through an unmarked trail of the manicured park, I said to the eucalyptus, "You are a whole cosmos." Stenciling snow angels, I said to my mouth, "You are a whole cosmos." I wanted in my words wholes to denote parts. Be done with anecdote, with story, with threads that puppeteer memory. Instead, warmth, safety, flower, and ocean. What a congregation is to a prayer. What a one way ticket is to a girl. All right, I'll stop there. Thank you so much for listening, for being with these new and very old poems. And I'm so thankful, Rick. I'm so glad we could make this happen.
Me too. Thank you, Preeti, very much. Great reading. Good to hear new and old poems. We have people who read here regularly poems they've written earlier in the day. So, 2 weeks, that could be ancient in terms of the age of poems, depending on how you look at it. So, but I understand some folks want to read poems that are tried and true, that have been worked on, that are established. So the sensibility of reading newer poems is sometimes it's a line you have to cross. Maybe it's there's a certain braveness, I guess. So thank you for being brave to bringing those poems to us. Thank you for the many poems for your mother and telling us about her. It occurred to me, besides the tragedy of that very early loss, clearly your mother lives on in your words, which is good for you, good for anyone who knew her, and good for us to be able to learn about her as well. So keep that up. Thank you for doing that. I'm going to paste some stuff in the chat as well as share the screen and show the broadside I made for the poem that you sent me. There it is, Resident Alien. I really liked this poem. Thank you for sending it and giving me the chance to make this broadside. You can download this now at the Cobalt Poets website at the link that I pasted into the chat. If you're watching somewhere else, it's poetrysuperhighway.com/cobalt. Click on broadsides and you'll find this there. It's an 11 by 17 digital file that you can print out or just look at, and I hope you'll consider tipping Preeti for her reading. There's both PayPal and Venmo IDs there in the chat for you to have options to contribute to the virtual passing of the hat. Please do that. Also, please consider picking up Preeti's most recent book, Mother Tongue Apologize. There's a link there to it on Amazon as well as bookshop.org, depending on where you like to get books. Two options for you there. Finally, a link to Preeti's website, Preeti Vangani.wixsite.com/poetry. Don't forget the /poetry, because otherwise you'll get taken to a generic Wix site, and that just won't help you unless you want to start your own website. But if your goal is to read Preeti's work and be in touch with her, you need the /poetry there. Preeti, thank you again for your time with us. I hope you come back and just be a part of our group every now and then when you can. And we're broadcasting from your time zone. You know what I'm saying? So thank you so much for being here. All right, round of applause for Preeti Vangani, our featured reader tonight. Really great job. Next week, before we get to the rest of tonight's open reading, our featured reader is Reggie Kabiko, another poet who I came across through one of the email lists that I subscribed to. I think it might have been the Rattle one in this case. I'm not sure. But for sure, I'll know by next week when I introduce him. So Reggie will be with us next week. That leads us to the rest of tonight's open reading. Here's who I have on the list in this order: Valerie Sofer, Richard Loringer, Ike Waltz, Cheryl Latif, Jennifer Elise Wang, Ken Scott, Dig Wayne, and me. If anyone else would like to be a part of the open reading and you haven't already told me so, please send me a message in the chat and I will be happy to add you to the list. As a reminder, 2 poems maximum, less is more is the suggested time limit. And that's it. Richard Loringer, you're on deck. Please welcome Valerie Sofer. Hello, Valerie.
Hi, nice to see everyone. It's very hard to follow, Preeti. Those were gorgeous poems. Thank you. Okay. Loss. There has to be more than this. A slice of bland, doughy pizza in a deserted mall food court. Something fast. I'm not enough for a sit-down lunch. A lone text so someone will know I'm in San Francisco. Best to leave a trace in a place where disaster hums above and below ground. 2 women 2 tables over look at their cell phones. They silently get up when I do, leave behind an umbrella on the banquette. I call after them. They don't stop in their hurry. I raise my voice. Still, they don't stop. A young man watching shrugs. Their loss, he says. I don't know why I chase after them with the umbrella. Excuse me. They don't stop. I follow them into the restroom, tap the shoulder of one who turns around and slaps me with the discovery she can't hear. She points to the other woman who turns around at my touch. 2 hands over a masked mouth. Eyes say, thank you. Outside, sky breaks into pockets of gray. I don't know why I'm shaken, crying, but it doesn't matter. No one can see. The week before Christmas, and I can count the number of people walking on the other side of Market Street, passing boarded up windows, a noticeable absence of tinsel. This one's shorter. Swap. All or nothing January sky chooses between leaden clouds and blue crystal. I swap screen inserts in the back door for windows to keep the cold out. The pane's heavier, deck stairs deeper. I worry I will trip, drop the panes, and shatter glass in the patch of grass, the potted plants, embed shards and harm unsuspecting animals who dig up the garden. Each turn of the Phillips head tightens the mantra, I can do this on my own, while wishing for someone to say, let me. Friends hope for grandchildren, while I hope loneliness will not pierce bone too deep to excise, leaving me in a windowless room in the after years. Thank you.
Valerie, thank you. Great work. I love that line. Each turn of the Phillips head tightens the mantra. Looks like Jennifer Elise Wang liked it too. There in the chat. The idea that you can kind of fine tune those sorts of things with physical tools is a really interesting juxtaposition of things and possibilities. Nice to see you again. Thanks for being here. Round of applause for Valerie Sofair. On deck, Ike Waltz. Please welcome now Richard Loringer. Hello, Richard.
Hi, everybody. Preeti, that was a beautiful set. Nice to hear you again. Rick, if it makes you feel any better, the evening I met Preeti, I was asked unexpectedly to host a reading in which she was featured, and I fucked up her name also. Okay, so I've actually been spent all day feeling kind of grim and dissolute, and it was lifting until I allowed myself to watch Governor Newsom's address to the nation at 6:30. I don't know if anybody else here saw that, but it kind of put me right back there. So that's I've chosen along those lines. And maybe I'll feel better after reading these two pieces of flash prose from this book, Sudden Windows, 2015. And the first one is I wrote after in response to Ferguson, which I realized was a while ago, so long ago that probably no one remembers Mr. Brown's death. And, no, but anyway, that's what this was in response to. It's a little heavy, and some of you might recognize the quote that with which this piece ends. Sky. That's right, sky. As in breathe, as in diffraction, as in streams, as in casing, as occlusion, as particulates, as scoring, as scratching, as in clay, as geophysics, as rationale, as law, as myth, as in strata, as in hierarchy, in sociopathy, as in deeply, as in torn, as flare, as blinding, as searing, as in flesh, as in children, as thunder, as pressure, as updraft, as gale, as in fuck the police, as in looming, as inevitable, as in burn the bitch down. That from Ferguson. I just had to fucking say that one tonight. And this one maybe is a bit of an antidote. I hate to do something that heavy sometimes without at least trying to make myself feel better. None of these have titles, by the way. Locomotive hurtles through trees. Who knows the cost? As if cost is clear. What lifts the pallor of the butterfly so that she may flit another day? Does she feel use or simply urge? Don't tell me you don't know, because this isn't about you. It's about momentum, cormorants diving, steel splintering ancient elms, buildings stabbing skyward, 80 billion bodies crushing the planet. Now that's momentum. But if a simple monarch caught in a whirl of pollen and breeze can feel the slightest sense of use, of purpose, not divine worth, but the simple sense of motion being worth something, of moving toward the better, a sense of better, an urge to flourish and to flourish amidst. And I think they do. Then perhaps, just perhaps, there lurks somewhere a simple better, a flourishing that might hurtle us toward sane life and away, away, away from profligate propagation and the mad greed mind of man. Bless you all tonight.
Here's to the flitting butterflies, Richard. Thank you so much for your work tonight. I didn't realize that Newsom was speaking tonight. Can you give us a quick rundown?
I could send you a link to, it's real weird. I came across it on Instagram, like one of the journalists on Instagram who said he's speaking at 6:30. You can see it on this YouTube channel. Odd. And it was about 10 minutes, 15, and I could post the YouTube address on here, I guess. And the weird thing is it may the first 4.5 minutes or so may be silent, because when he went on, boo, there was no sound. And then they had to somehow get the sound going, and then they started over. Interesting. Anyway, it was sort of more of a pep talk, but it was very timely to have a governor saying these things. I'll put it in the chat and I'll shut up.
Great. Thank you for putting in the chat. The great is not a response to you saying I'll shut up now, just to be clear. By the way, thank you for being here. Thank you for your work, and thanks for letting us know about that as well. Round of applause for Richard Loringer. On deck, Cheryl Latif. Please welcome now Ike Waltz. Hello, Ike.
Thank you, Preeti. This is docu poetry. 1713, Bach wrote an aria. Sheep may safely graze. Let it sink in. Sheep may safely graze. And we talk about a moron as if he were our president. We are the land of the free, aren't we? We are the land of the brave, aren't we? And to be free, we need guns. And to be brave, we need to shoot them damn guns. As America is only worth the beautiful when protected by that repeating AR-15 machine gun. Statistically, 39 countries enjoy a healthier level of freedom. As a result, we are Twitter X'd that this is fake news, unfair. How can we even compare? These old countries have no Second Amendment. Almost nobody is killed by guns. Almost nobody goes to jail because of no guns. So unfair. How can we compare? How can you all call these countries free? How can they make any money? No guns, no money, no prisons, no money, no money, no Hollywood, honey. We simply need more guns to combat the many competing gods. After all, we are the guardians of Christianity, with hands crossing our patriotic hearts made of Chinese steel. And after all, white, blonde, blue-eyed Jesus, who lives in Texas, a bearer of our blessed gun, gold-plated in a rhinestone holster, ready to preach and teach the children to love Jesus, carrying his gun. Once again, it's about white mastermen to defend our nation from a self-inflicted tyranny, to defend ourselves from a brutal world which does not appreciate our demand for imperial righteousness and obedience. Yes, we love to pretend and be so damn innocent. Above all, we need to protect ourselves from ourselves. That's the all-American dream. And for that, we need automatic guns. That is what we mean, being brave and free. Tell me, why do we pray, go to church and spray bullets anyway? Hallelujah, we sing hallelujah. We repent with such empathy. Forgiven is our sin. When the truth was killed, our hearts turned fake. We load that automatic assault gun and shoot the kill into the masses. Guess what? We have a lot of Second Amendment fun, don't we? You see, I fucking well do not agree. Our opportunity is to stop the kill. Amend the Second Amendment chill, healing us from our sickening obsession for deadly guns within. Our moral compass is broken. This is why we defend a fucking moron as if he is our president. I agree, said my neighbor. I understand, said my neighbor, but I will vote for Taco again. Insane. Is it mental illness? Is it the opioids we blame? Is there anybody who does agree? Let's castrate the NRA and much of the killing will fade away. P.S. 1713, Bach wrote an aria. Sheep may safely graze. Let it sink in. Sheep may safely graze. Thank you.
Ike, thank you for that necessary poem. Let's vote the tacos out. You know what I'm saying? I guess. I appreciate that very much. Thank you so much. Round of applause for Ike Waltz. On deck is Jennifer Elise Wang. Please welcome now Cheryl Latif. Hello, Cheryl.
Hello, Rick. Hello, everyone. It's nice to see everyone here. I'm going to share one poem this evening. It's from the book that I put out. I guess it went out late last year, that I did with the sculptor Brad Burkhardt. And this piece is called Pondering Existence. At times, all you can do is sit, ponder existence, weigh the day to day, the art of life, the life of those with whom you share this earth, this sky, this universe. Embrace insight found in the small things. Chirp song of birds, baby elephant trumpet call, the crackle of hatching eggs behind you, ripened fruit falling from branches. Ride the winds of change. Each moment a seedling, eager to root, eager to bloom, eager to burst truth, enlighten all. Thank you.
Cheryl, thank you. 2 weeks in a row, we're getting used to seeing you again, so that's a good thing. Glad you're back. Glad you're still back. Third times in a row, and like it'll feel like old times, I guess. So we'll see if you're here next week. You better be. Round of applause for Cheryl Latif. Thank you, Cheryl.
Thank you all.
On deck is Ken Scott. Please welcome now Jennifer Elise Wang. Hello, Jennifer.
Hey, since it's Pride, we're gonna get some queer poems from me, a new one and an old one. This new one was written partly for a contest where we had to use like I think 30 words given to us, and yeah, this is I started thinking of our flag means death. So this is playing pirates. When we were kids, we'd pretend to be pirates, unaware we propped up criminals in our play. Back then, we weren't weighted by realism, historic truth clouding unadulterated visions of ourselves as adventurers who roam around the Pacific Rim. I would peer into my paper towel roll scope and point towards an approaching ship. Then you would hail the unsuspecting vessel with sailors who perceive you to be a meager damsel until the final stroke of your plastic sword turned them into another notch we carved into a tree. All summer we'd play even as the sun at its zenith would turn a single bead of sweat into a gloss on our skin. Yours was such a beautiful bronze, rouged with a heat-induced flush. The warmth I felt radiating from it as we laid prone, almost touching, having fallen to the ground from exhaustion after hours of plotting and plundering, made me want to melt. I wondered if it was heat stroke, not yet ready to be swept up by opaque emotions. The skies would darken, but you'd come back, until one day when you didn't, and play and puppy love became things of the past. But when we reconnected over a show about pirates who set each other's hearts ablaze, memories unwound, and we returned to our ship. We aligned the sails that go headlong into the storm ahead that had been brewing within us for years, a new joint venture. And my second piece, it's old in the fact that I, as you can see with my name, go by they, she instead of she, they. I wrote this in response to Demi Lovato choosing to do she, they because it's just more convenient and really tiresome in correcting people. After the election, I decided that I would be an inconvenience and just insist on they and get the joy. I'll accept she, I'll accept he. I'm basically an any pronouns person, but they is in the order of what I prefer. So, but yeah, this is my poem, She, They. When I say I'm tired of using they, them, I mean I'm tired of writing in non-binary when there are only boxes for male or female. I would prefer not to select, prefer not to answer, as if I am making a choice. In reality, checking that box makes me want to curl up and die, a starved soul like Bartleby. I'm tired of facing the remorse that comes with every correction. It's exhausting to shoulder the emotions of every loved one wanting to be acknowledged for trying their best without acknowledging my own feelings, my actual identity. I'm tired of looking to other languages so I don't need to confront he or she and finding that I must choose between an o ending or an ah ending, or that the words spoken are gender neutral, yet I still have to write girl in the logogram of my pronoun if I don't want to accept the default masculine. I'm tired of choosing the comfort of X only to be accused of embracing a colonial mindset. When I say I'm tired of using they, them, and you stop listening to the rest of my sentence, I split myself further to wedge me back into one end of the binary.
You be you, Jennifer, please. My favorite line actually of yours came before the poem where you said, after the election, I decided to be an inconvenience, just so you know. So run with that one too, as long as you're saying awesome things. Thank you so much for being here.
Right, thank you.
Round of applause for Jennifer Elise Wang. On deck, Dig Wayne. Please welcome now Ken Scott. Hi, Ken.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. The first piece I'm going to do is political, and the second one then is going to be spiritual. But the reason I'm starting with the political is because I really feel that a lot of people are taken aback at the horror that this second Trump presidency is inflicting upon this country, and in particular, how now Los Angeles has literally become the eye of the storm. But if you understand from an African American standpoint, America's role as a white supremacist colonizer, especially I myself having indigenous blood as well as African blood, I have no pretense, or there is no pretense with me regarding what America really is, always has been, and will continue to be, which is why Trump is a thing and will continue to be a thing until the day this nation dies in blood and fire. And you can take my word to the bank on that. The reason Trump is a thing, and I put it in the chat, is because Obama was a thing, and this nation has been traumatized by the Obama presidency, not by what he did, but by what he was, a Black man in the white supremacist colonizers' White House. Understand that this is the America we are dealing with that has never, ever, ever gone away and never will. And we had better wake the fuck up and realize that that America is still with us to this day and will continue to be with us until the day the nation dies. On that note, I'm going to begin the first piece. It's called As Stockholm Can Get. Patriotism to a nation founded upon gold, silver, and gems will result in a life of equal value. And being patriotic to a nation founded upon garbage, feces, and sewage will result in an equally wretched soul. What then can be said of a citizen who knowingly vows absolute patriotism to a nation founded upon violent crimes against humanity, including colonization, dehumanization, genocide, ethnic cleansing, barbaric chattel slavery, and misogyny? Even as a lack of knowledge will not save you if you accidentally touch a 10,000 volt power line, a lack of knowledge will not excuse you from being held accountable for the crime of loyally supporting the violently racist colonizer who slaughtered millions of indigenous people for the land while barbarically enslaving countless Africans for unpaid labor in order to create a white racist society that values profits over people. If you as an American have indigenous or African ancestry, then being patriotic to the gun that tortured, raped, and killed your very ancestors is as Stockholm can get. End piece. Now, the next piece, I'm going to step back from that political rage, and I'm going to take a more esoteric, spiritual stance. This piece is called Our Footsteps Are Galaxies, and this is part of a chapbook that I'm still trying to get published to this day called Toward the Infinitesimal Infinite. And this poem is from that. Our Footsteps Are Galaxies. The summit was like escaping from a clock, walking upon the radiant essence of thought and being permeated with the silence that is everything, everywhere, all at once. Candles of wisdom floating ever upward in oceans of divine dreams, souls of eternity speaking only one word at all times, in all places, like a river of pristine, living water. We are the sacred memory that always was, always is, and always shall be. The tree of life, whose wondrous branches write ancient worlds of bliss in the mind of the all. The timeless lotus who blossoms with sublime genetic melodies of ascension, the perfect beauty of balance and harmony. The manifestation of profound glory causes one to weep and then raises one up to stand tall in the revelation of oneness, the soul who has finally returned home. We are the palace of peace in the midst of the creation, the word of wholeness in the heart of the all. Our footsteps are galaxies. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
And thank you for momentarily walking us out of the rage with the esoteric there. The rage is necessary, don't get me wrong, but appreciated both pieces, and thank you for voicing what needs to be voiced as you do.
Yeah, a lot of people
Round,
don't understand what America really is, and they need to wake up. They do.
um, here's to California becoming its own country as soon as possible. Um,
Fourth
that's all
largest economy, baby. Oh
yeah.
Lord, something just exploded outside my window.
Well, I'm going to let you check on that
Yeah,
and
thank you.
let us know if we need to do anything. And
Will do.
thanks for being here. Round of applause for Ken Scott. On deck is Michael G. Hickey. Please welcome now Dig Wayne. Hello, Dig.
Hello, Rick. I have two poems, two newish poems about birds. First one's called "Oh, This Hennessy's Working," Rick. The Hennessy. The abstract, the abstract, the abstract is killing the birds in my backyard. I sit on my squatting stool, meditating between twins towering 40 feet, trunk, limb, branch, and twig. My mantra tussles with the airplanes and whirlybirds for a soft landing to do nothing with. A murder of crows dive bomb into the dry cement pond, therefore murdering themselves with aplomb. A mushroom cloud of black feathers block out the sun temporarily. Splintered crow bones scatter across my forehead like angry toothpicks. Sick, black, bloodthirsty phoebes wrestle and peck themselves to death in my newly polished gutters. A bored house finch pulls at the electrical wires until the bare power line fries it crispy. Meditate, meditate, meditate. This one's called Wind Chimes Made of Wino Teeth. The remaining birds in my backyard are nesting in disillusion. The punk-ass squirrels have finally picked Daddy-O's patios, sofa cushions flat enough. A family of Mennonites are selling high-powered slingshots outside the Walmart. The Adirondack chairs we bought in 2016 they hurt my back now. It's like climbing out of a hole in a mountain. The empty house next door fills me with anxiety. How long until Mara Salvatrucha move in and ask to borrow a shake of cinnamon? No problem. Just so you know, Mara Salvatrucha is MS-13. The police helicopters' searchlights follow me from yard to yard, tap dancing like Bill Bojangles because I can't sleep. I can't sleep. CAIN'. I can't sleep. A cactus breeze wrinkles the leaves in the big trees that house the busybody buzzards. The once sweet chime orchestra rattles like hollow bones searching for accompaniment. And so I wait. Thank ye. Thank ye.
I mean, first of all, congratulations on the newly polished gutters. I don't know if that's an old poem and they need to be redone again, or if that's really it.
It's a new poem. The gutters, you can't keep up with them. It's hard.
It is, because stuff falls in them, and then you got to get the stuff out.
So I'm trying to stay out of the gutter myself. That's my ambition.
How's that going for you?
I'm pretty successful so far, but tomorrow's another day. The gutters.
It is.
I'd
Also,
have
thank you
plenty
for
of company. If I was in the gutter, I would have plenty of company. So I just, turn it to a positive.
I've always saved a spot for you, Dig, when it come down here. Also, thank you for bringing it back to squirrels, which we were talking about pretty extensively before the reading started. You may not have known that. It's just kismet that you brought it up. So we all appreciate that.
Well, thank you so much. Yes, these squirrels. I've never had a problem with squirrels, but these little motherfuckers, they've ruined my patio sofa. They peck at it. They pull out all the stuffing. They've ruined pillows. Seriously, I have the high-powered slingshot. I know this is not, politically, it's not nice. I have a high-powered slingshot, and I'll sit out there every once in a while. And it's like, if you get on that sofa, I don't know. I can't really say what's going to happen next. I've never hit one. If I know if I hit one, I'd feel really bad. I just kind of try to scare them away. I got it from the Mennonites.
Yeah. Best of luck to you there. I hope that you I hope you can work something out with him, honestly. And let us know, keep us up to date if
I
you
will.
would.
I will.
Thank you. All right. Round of applause for Dig Wayne. Thank you, Dig. I'm on deck to close out the open reading. Please welcome now Michael G. Hickey. Hello, Michael.
Damn Mennonites, man. Who knew they cornered the market on that shit, bro? Damn. Can't get a good slingshot anywhere. Okay, I'm just reading one. This summer, I'm supposed to go back to my home. I live in Seattle. I'm supposed to go back to my hometown, Belleville, Illinois, right outside St. Louis. And I'm going to my hometown library, the Belleville Library, to read my first children's book, Travis the Talking Dog. And I'm going to be going back with a lot of people I grew up with, grade school, high school, community college, the whole thing. And they have an addiction that I don't share, and I'm very concerned about it. The title of this poem, it begins with a epigraph by Mark Twain. Golf is a good walk spoiled. The title of this poem is For, F-O-R-E exclamation point, For. Psychologists say men communicate most effectively when sharing a mindless or at least slow-witted activity. Enter the sport of golf, putters, irons, and woods, angrily tossed in the rough, not to mention 9,312 golf balls somewhere in the lakes or woods, living creatures unsafe at both land and sea, all due to your endless slices and shanks. Admit it, Phil, your life has become a desert-sized sand trap. You dream obsessively of shooting par, winning the green jacket. You watch all the tournaments on TV, read Golf Digest, and play at least 18 holes daily to improve your handicap. Phil, this is golf intervention. I look around here and I see a bunch of people who love you like crazy, Phil, but they're afraid they're losing you and they're willing to fight you to get you back. And this is just an invitation to join that fight. First, Phil, you have to surrender. You have to accept the fact that you are powerless over golf and that your wife has become unmanageable. You have to accept that golf has become the word flog backwards. You've smashed every club in half multiple occasions and tossed your entire golf bag in the water hazard 11 times. Caddies will no longer caddy for you. They're afraid of you, Phil. Since quitting cold turkey can be fatal, the next step would be a safe medical golf detox. Like methadone, we'll start small and wean you from the links with driving ranges and putting greens at first. Then when you're sure you're ready, we'll transition to mini golf. That's right, Phil. You are about to become intimate with windmills, loop-de-loops, and bright red mouths of clowns. You will not keep score, Phil. You will never keep score again. You will donate your golf cart to children in Indonesia who can't afford golf carts. In a show of goodwill, you will donate your golf clubs to Goodwill. Phil, everyone has written you a letter, and all we want is for you to listen without interrupting, and then it'll be your turn to speak. So are you okay with that, Phil? Okay, good. Then let's begin. To read the first letter, let's start with, wait, where the hell did everybody go? Nobody told me we had a 3:30 tea time. Thank you.
Reading his draft of the film Caddyshack 3, Michael G. Hickey. Michael, thank you so much for being here and sharing that with us.
I'm a little scared, I'll be honest with you. These guys are out on the links at 6 o'clock in the morning pounding Bloody Marys, so I don't know if I'm up for all that.
Sure, you kind of, I'm kind of glancing. I don't mean this to be an insult or offensive. You kind of look like the skipper today from Gilligan's Island, both your shirt and your hat. It feels like
Thank you.
You're the skipper come to life.
Yeah, I was always more Marianne than Ginger, but yeah, the skipper was cool.
Well, you don't look like either of them, I'll tell you that. I was always a Marianne person. Can I say that? I don't know. I don't know what I can say anymore. Michael, I really appreciate that you were here. Thanks so much for being here. Round of applause for Michael G. Hickey. Thank you, Michael. I'm going to close out the open reading with a couple of poems. Thank you, Ken. That's very nice of you to say. I got to participate this past weekend in a reading series at the Victory Theater Center in Burbank. They give you a theme and they ask you to write something for it. And then you're there with a couple other poets, some actors, different kinds of people show up. It's always kind of interesting. I love a good assignment. The theme was Dr. Strangelove. This is what I wrote. A poem for Dr. Strangelove that almost ends with the first 36 words of Lolita. Dr. Strangelove, 1965, 3 years before I was born, in glorious black and white before color was invented. Impossible to watch for me without seeing Peter Sellers as Inspector Clouseau. Impossible for me to watch decades later without thinking of Eyes Wide Shut and thinking, Stanley, what happened? Which is kind of a lie, as my inner pervert loved that film. Dr. Strangelove, a finished film, a historic comedy, the concept of nuclear missiles as transportation, so much better than whatever we have here in Los Angeles. I'd like to ride a missile to France and tell the inspector, yes, that is his dog, he's lying to you. I'd like to combine all of Kubrick's films into one and make it easier for the uninitiated. One fabulous scene with monkeys at monoliths, their eyes propped open, watching violence against bananas. Everyone has a little Sellers mustache, everyone begging Hal to do whatever it says it can't do. I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't order a missile strike. The president is the only one in the room who can do that, while axe-wielding Jack Nicholson goes full metal jacket on Barry Lyndon, which I fully admit makes no sense. Did you know that for $3.89 you can rent Dr. Strangelove on Amazon Prime, but for only $1.10 more, that's right, $4.99, you can own it. It says it's a limited time offer, and I wrote this 2 weeks ago, so I can't guarantee this price is still available, but by God, I own it now digitally and for the rest of my natural life. Until French inspectors ride their bombs out of the sky to explode everyone I love, or at least live near. That film is mine. Death to physical media, death to the colorization of films, death to the death of Peter Sellers. Bring his funny ass back. I don't care if it's AI. We need him more than ever. Death to war. Even if it's funny, it's no good. Lolita, light of my life, fire of my loins, my sin, my soul. Lolita, the tip of the tongue taking a trip of 3 steps down the palate to tap on 3 on the teeth. Lolita, Dr. Strangelove will see you now. Man, I don't want to follow that. With second poem, I should have put that one second, but here we go. A poem for this week's Torah portion, responding to this line of text. Moses cried out to God saying, please God, please heal her. Moses' sister Miriam had leprosy because she complained because he said he was planning on being celibate, and she complained about that. And I don't know why. She's his sister and he was like hundreds of years old at that point. Anyway, the poem is called Less is More. I always tell them less is more. The poets at the microphone, the rabbis at their pulpits, the book writers with their many, many pages. I tell them less is more, though I wonder how that applies to my bank account, my supply of snack foods, my disappearing hair. I always tell them less is more, not in comedy, of course. Extend the bit into the ground. My comedy lives in the ground where jokes crawl like worms. I always tell them less is more, terms and conditions conditions, white space in design. White space in design? Have I told you my fantasy of turning in a blank sheet of paper and committing to it being my finest work? I always tell them less is more, but the tendency is to take up all the given space, to fill it and rush through it so every word ever thought by people kind gets its due. I always tell them less is more. The simplest melodies fill up the entire heart, like Moses, who could have said the whole Torah, but instead gave 4 words: God, heal her, please. You're not going to take me seriously if this poem reaches a second page and Moses cried, heal Miriam. Sometimes the fewest words say the biggest things. All right, that wasn't so bad. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all very much for being here all night. I want to especially say thank you to Preeti Vangani, who did a wonderful job as our featured reader tonight. I'm finding the things to cut and paste again. There they are. I've found them. I've cut them. I've pasted them. So please consider tipping Preeti if you haven't already via PayPal or Venmo. There are her IDs. There are her IDs for both of those there in the chat. You can download her broadside at that link right there on the Cobalt Poets website. As always, once you're there, click on email list and add your email if you want to get the weekly emails that go out promoting this reading with the Zoom link. Click on calendar to see who's coming up next week. Reggie Kabiko will be here in the featured reading spot. There is links again to Preeti's most recent book, Mother Tongue Apologize, on Amazon and bookshop.org, and Preeti's website as well. So thank you, Preeti. Great job. Thanks to all of our amazing open readers tonight and the people who just came to watch. We got a handful of you guys as well, which is always awesome. Let me click on the Ask All to Unmute button so everyone can say hi.
That was an excellent feature, Preeti. That was a wonderful feature.
That really
Thank
was. Boy,
you.
you rocked it. You knocked it out of the park. That was wonderful.
As did all of you. Thank you. I was literally like writing down all the beautiful words you all were saying. This was so nourishing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, and you know what? I used to watch Gilligan's Island like mad when I was a kid. So it's, I wasn't trying to offend you at all, Michael, but yeah, when Rick mentioned that you look like the skipper, all these memories came flashing back, dude.
I know. In my head, I'm Thurston Howell III, but I look more like the skipper, I guess.
Yeah. The white
Rick,
cap,
I kept waiting for Clockwork Orange, Rick. You got to throw in Clockwork Orange, man. Come on now.
That was the reference to the eyes being held open.
Oh, okay.
I was more of a professor man myself, I think.
Yeah, the professor was intelligent, man. He was cool.
Well, if you remember, what was so funny is earlier in Gilligan's Island, they would say all the names, I think, and the rest.
Yeah.
They'd say the names like, and the rest, which was the professor
and Marianne.
And Marianne. And eventually, I think they're, from an actor point of view, their agents probably said, why don't these characters are main characters? How come they're just and the rest? And so they changed the song, Professor and Marianne. And then we,
I think the songwriters had to go to lunch and turn in something right when they got there. And the rest, let's get pizza.
And the rest,
they got paid less.
Yeah. Of course, the movie star was a person. Yeah, they had to go with that. I mean, yeah, right.
Well, I heard they threatened to strike if they didn't get their names on.
Raises so many questions. That's the thing. The great thing about that show. A 3-hour tour, and they had clothes for endless clothes. And Marianne and Ginger, she had gowns for a 3-hour tour.
Yes.
And that's only the beginning of the
interesting thoughts. Thank you, Dig. That is interesting.
Yeah.
A 3-hour tour.
For a 3-hour tour.
Not a 3-day tour, a 3-hour tour.
3-hour tour.
Yeah, and a tour of what? Where?